Welcome everyone. We're going to be speaking about the holiday of Purim. Now on purpose I want to show that, because the people viewing may not realize when we're taping, we're actually doing this class a week before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which means we passed Purim. Why would we be doing a Purim class after Purim? Now I didn't plan it this way, it just happened to have been this way. But then, being, Jews as we are, we always like to look into the meaning of things. So there's no accident that it happened this way. So how would we make sense of that? So we can look at it like this. Even though the Purim story of Achashverosh and Haman, those bad guys, finished. That story we read about already. But our Purim story is still on. Our Purim story of Iran, our Persia, and our Achashverosh or Ahmadinejad, which we'll talk about, is still moving ahead. We didn't finish that. So Purim is not done. So that's why, in a way, it's like it's a fitting thing that we do this class after Purim, just to show we didn't finish Purim. We're still moving in it. This is our Purim story, and we're smack in the middle.
Yeah, the real Purim really happened over a few-year period also.
Right, that's its story. It also was about 9 years or so. So let's talk about what's happening in our time. And this is on everybody's mind, because it's what's... Oh, well, I'm going to say about some of the names, but I'm going to say it a little bit in the middle. You know what? I want to just show something first. We're going to bring a few ideas, and then we're going to tie them together with a Purim story, okay? It says in Parashat Noach, and this is Perek Zayin, which is 7, Pasuk Yud Aleph, 11, so you can look it up. It says, Bishnat Shesh Me'ot Shana, in the 600th year, Lechaye Noach, of the life of Noach, B'chodesh HaSheni, the second month, B'shiv'a Asar Yom Lechodesh, the 17th day, B'yom Hazeh, on this day, Nivke'u Kol Ma'yenot Tehom Rabbah, the great wells of water opened, V'arubot HaShamayim Niftachu, and again, the great wells of water in Shamayim opened, which is what flooded the world. Okay, the flood basically began. Okay, each word actually means something, but I don't want to get into too much detail. What we want to learn from this is what the Zohar Kadosh says. It says that first there's a rule. Whatever happens in the Torah happens in its time, but it also happens later on. Okay? So when it says the 600th year of the life of Noach, it really means in future time, there'll be another time where the flood will come again, also in the 600th year of something. Okay? The Zohar says in the last millennium, which is the 6th millennium, which is 5,000 till 6,000, which is what we're in. Okay? In that is what we're talking about. Because this is the end of days, it's Yemot HaMashiach. So when it talks about the life of Noach, because Noach represents that. So the 600th year would mean in the 600th year of the last millennia, which is the 6th millennia, there will be another flood. Now what does a flood mean? First of all, the flood in that time was supposed to be water. We know is Torah. It's a metaphor for Torah. Deep waters, because this was the depths of water. That's why it said Ma'yenot Tehom Rabbah, the depths of the waters, of the oceans. That means the deep Torah. The deep Torah is the secrets of the Torah. The secrets of the Torah was supposed to come out. That's the Yemot HaMashiach, was supposed to come out in the 600th year of the life of Noah. But if they're meritorious and they're doing al yedei zechut, they have merit, they'll get the real messianic light of knowledge. If they're sinful, which they were, they'll still get it, but they'll get the physical manifestation or expression of it, which was the water. So it came down, meaning it, whatever the it is, it came down, but it's going to come down either as spiritual or as physical. In this case, because they sinned, it came down physical and clobbered them. And that was their punishment until it happens another time. And the Zohar says there'll be another time where this water is going to come down, but it's going to be the real water this time, the real spiritual water, the depths, the messianic light, which is the depths of Torah, the depths of understanding reality. The 600th year of the 6th millennium, which is 5,600 in Hebrew. Right now, we are in year 57, what is it? 5772 we're in. Right. A quick memory trick to know what Hebrew year it is. What's the English year? Secular year? 2012. Hebrew is 5772. You'll notice the last number is the same.
Always?
Yeah, because it's followed, you see? So you can always remember. So you can always remember what year it is. It's the same last number. It's 2, it's 2. That's right. Rosh Hashanah will change until they get to January, exactly. But you can always remember the year now. You know, if you don't know which decade we're in, you got a problem. But at least if you're in the 10 years, you'll know which last number to pick, okay?
The decade's 40 off.
Decade's 10.
Decade's 40 off, though. 112 and 72.
Oh, well, that's something else, yeah. Okay, so in the years 5600, what year is that if we want to plug it in our calendars?
What year?
It is, meaning in the English secular calendar, that would be 1840. 1840 was 5600.
Yeah.
Okay? Now here's what's going on. There's no more water tricks, meaning it's not going to be, it's either the Messianic light or not. It's going to be the Messianic light, not water this time. So where is it? Where do we see it? From 1840, we see more atheism and more non-belief in a God and more corruption than we've ever seen. So where's this Messianic light that's supposed to have been here already for 100 and whatever some odd years? So the answer is, there may not be a water trick, but there's another trick. It always comes down to, are the Jews worthy? If they're worthy, they get. If they're not worthy, it's still coming down, but they don't get. One case, it turned into water. There's another way to do it, that Hashem can still not let them have it, but yet it came down. And that is that the ideas of the Messianic light come down, but they go to people who will distort the truth, and you'll end up being further from God, even though you're with and you're studying and looking at the Messianic light. So what is that? What's the Messianic light? Messianic light is basically it's the study which unifies the entire universe. It's supposed to unify it, where the whole physical universe is one thing, and that comes out of a spiritual universe, and even that comes out of Hashem, the Creator. It's a massive unifying theory. Unifies everything, the entire reality. Now, what is this thing that comes and it starts to unify things ever since 1840? What's that word? No. Well, not in Judaism.
The Industrial Revolution.
Very good, Industrial Revolution. Science in general. Okay, science. That word science is an interesting word. Okay, it's really knowledge, but it's really knowledge that is coming from the side of tum'ah, impurity, from the Satan. Because what's happening? Although science understands and practices unifying the universe, they unify only the physical part, the physical universe. They don't admit or acknowledge anything higher. So they're not going to unify that and throw it into the equation and ultimately find God as the being who's on top of the whole equation. They'll never get to that because they're not studying that.
Wow.
That's what we would have done had we gotten the light. But the light came down. But it didn't go to the Jews because, again, we weren't worthy. It went to the Goyim, especially to the Goyim who want to distort. because not all goyim want to distort. It went to specifically the goyim who want to distort, which is basically the Satan's people, because the Satan got it and he gives it to whoever he knows will do a good job with it to mess it up. Okay. Now we know, I think we gave this example once before with the cell phone. This cell phone is more powerful than some of the magic they had in Egypt, what this can do. Right? We're living in a world, even today, forget 1840. 1840, obviously, it was, beginning and continuing from even a little bit before, but now the last every year it becomes even more intense. But we're living right now in a world that's filled with miracles. What we can do today with just saying something, doors open. What kind of a thing is that? This is like a magical world we're living in. This is a miraculous world. But since it's done in a way where you don't find God in it, people are further away from God, even with all these inventions. They're wrapped up into themselves somehow. It's like how can you have such inventions and not admit to a creator? It boggles the mind. But that's the world we're living in. If the Messianic light would have come down, it's really miracles. Miracles is part of the Messianic light, without explaining too much about it. So all these miraculous discoveries is the Messianic light. But if it's going to take you to not believe in God, it means it came from the side of Tum'ah. If all these miracles would have come and we acknowledge God, it would have been the real Messianic light. That's how you know the difference. If someone sees if there's a new invention now in 3 months from now, and there's headlines, look what the Creator has done, then we know it came down the right way. But if people now are still going to be more self-centered and the ego takes over, and it's everything about self, then you know that this invention came through the side of Tum'ah. You see, so it's interesting. It's still the Messianic light, but the Messianic light can be distorted. But it's still the Messianic light. So we're living in the Messianic times with those miracles, inventions, so to speak. But we don't have the true spiritual aspect that we're looking for, because unfortunately the Jews are still not worthy. Why is that? Because we still have that old sickness that we had for so long, for 2,000 years. What's that called? Baseless hatred. That baseless hatred is just doing us in for 2,000 years. There's so much coming down, so much raining down, and we can't access it because we simply don't get along. What a price to pay. Imagine all these inventions, we can actually grab them and make spiritual sense out of them and change the world with it. If just people liked each other, it's like, why are we not getting that done? It's not like we have to walk on the moon in order to get this done. We just have to be civil and nice to each other. Everybody's too busy fighting, and look what we're giving up. We're giving up too much because we want to fight. And Hashem sees fit to do what he does to the Jews, maybe because of that. And we have to learn our lesson. Ezrat Hashem. Now it's a scary time, and let's get into what we were saying about Iran. There's a famous Yalkut. I'm not sure if it's Yalkut Shimoni or there's other Yalkuts. And also the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer brings down that in the end of time there's going to be wars between Esav and Yishmael, which is what we're in. Ever since I said once, I think that once the Holocaust ended, it was already the reign of Yishmael in that time. And they fight with Edom, with Rome, which is also Western civilization, which is America. And that's why you have all this Islam versus Christianity.